Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives from varying skill range. I am the Indiana Jones of this episode, Andrew. With me, the one who face checks every booby trap, Keith.
Hello.
And our Laura Craft, Liz.
Hey guys.
And this week was a listener request, so thank you so much, David. I guess thank you for torturing us with Spelunky 2 by Mossmouth. Spelunky 2 is a sequel of the very well-beloved original Spelunky that originally came out on the 360, but Spelunky 2 is a platformer roguelike where you are playing the daughter of the original hero in the first Spelunky, where you go off to the moon to find and rescue your parents and try to bring them back home. But going around, Liz, was this a game or a pass for you?
This was a game for me. It's hard because I got so frustrated with the game that I had to take a lot of breaks. And I mean a lot, but I always came back to it. I also think too that the co-op and different, the arena, the different multiplayer options that you have were a lot of fun. And yeah, as much as I found it frustrating, I definitely liked it enough to give it a game.
See, it's so funny to me because this is a game that I think I just would have expected us to be completely opposite on, Liz. Because as you may recall, this was sort of my pick, at least my pick from the listener picks, where I was like, I remember Spelunky 1. I want to play Spelunky 2. I think that'll be fun. I regretted everything about it. And this is a situation definitely where it's like there's nothing really inherently wrong with the game other than I just didn't like it. If anyone was asking me for a game to play, I wouldn't recommend this game. I don't want to go back and play more of it. But the multiplayer is pretty fun. It's a nice addition that Spelunky 1 didn't have, so I did like that aspect of it. But otherwise, no. This is pretty much just a pass for me.
So for me, I guess overall I'm going to give it a pass. I enjoyed my time with it. I had fun with Spelunky, but to give it a game and like recommend it to people is like recommending, hey, do you want to destroy your controller? You should play this game. Because I can't remember the last time I played a game where like I legitimately like was tempted to throw my controller through my monitor.
Has this happened before? I mean, it must have, where I said game and you guys both said pass.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
What does that say about me with this game? Like,
you're a masochist.
Am I a masochist? Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, overall, it's Spelunky 2 is a lot of fun. It's definitely just for a very particular person. You just have to, I don't know, really like to be tortured, I guess, like a masochist. But no, it is fun, but yeah, I think I'm going to give it a pass because I don't know. It's hard to recommend. But so getting into Spelunky 2's story, as I said, you are playing the daughter of the original hero from Spelunky, where, in the very first Spelunky, you were this explorer who found this tomb from old Mech, I think was the Aztec god's name, or I'm getting confused.
Isn't that the god from Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Yeah, it might be. And I might be confusing them now that I'm thinking about it. But either way, you end up finding his temple also is on the moon. So your father and your mother go on ahead and go up to the moon to try to explore this temple. But they haven't returned in months. And so you as the daughter has taken upon yourself to build a rocket and try to go up there and find them and see what happened to them. So I don't know about you guys, but I had some issues with the story. So when you first start the tutorial, like you're kind of finding this journal of like your parents and what's going on. And like, they're writing a diary like, hey, we found this, dungeon. And, obviously it's giving you tutorial tips. What I hated, I don't know if you guys picked on it, but the last page of the journal was like, hey, I know we wanted to bring you with us, but you were too young, so we left you back home. But don't worry about us because we're having fun. And I felt like that was such a slap in the face for like the daughter because it's like, your mom and dad hasn't returned in like so many months or whatever. You haven't heard a word from them and you just find their journal saying, don't worry, we're having fun without you. And it's like, they don't say like, hey, we're safe. We're trying to get back to you. We really miss you. No, we're having fun. I thought the story was weird.
Maybe that's just like code for them saying we're in danger. Come help us. Like,
please, young child, come and get killed by serpents.
No, like she knows like if they say they're just having fun, she's like, oh, they're in trouble. They would tell me they're safe if they're actually safe.
Why wouldn't they just say
but
we're in trouble?
Parents, wouldn't they lie though? Like seeing all the stuff that you face in the dungeon.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a code, like, you understood it. You're like, oh, I know they're in danger. Things are bad. I'm preparing for the worst, and I'm going to the moon because that's just an easy thing to do. Everyone goes to the moon.
Yes, please sacrifice yourself, child. Like, we adults can't handle this, but you can.
I know, young child. Please go into this
Wait,
dungeon.
how old are you?
I'm assuming you're something like 16, probably younger, honestly.
47.
You're fine.
Your elderly parents.
Your parents are geriatrics.
They're retired. They're just living their second life, going to the moon and facing deadly dungeons.
It is very possible because you don't die in this world, so maybe you don't age, and they actually could be 47. Or
What do you
could be
mean?
47.
I died a lot.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you
can't
don't
die
like
forever.
Yeah, you don't permanently die, because it even says that in the journal where it's like, oh, the magic is in this tomb where you can't die. But even if you can't die, I would still be like,
You
child,
still
get out of
feel
here.
it,
I know,
though.
yeah, you're
You
still
still
gonna get
feel
impaled.
it.
You're still getting shot with arrows. I'd be like, child, get out of here. I don't care that we're not permanently dying, but please, just like, you don't want to be like tortured for the rest of your life.
So is this like a weird It Takes Two situation? Like, they found themselves in places where they could just kill each other over and over, and so they just had a bunch of fun. So they're just like, hey, we're living our best life. We're just gonna kill the heck out of each other, and we're having fun.
I think
That's
you figured
weird.
it out.
I don't think we once tried to kill each other.
Oh, well, you didn't have to try.
I was gonna
You
say,
would
you just
kill
did.
me all the
Did it plenty
time.
on accident.
Those would just whip me off. When we did the or the Adverses game mode, you would try to kill each other.
Oh yeah, that was so much fun.
But we'll get to that in a little bit.
So I can't remember. Did you catch roguelike or in your description? Did you call it
I
that?
did.
Because you know I have a gripe with this. We've been over this. We were talking about this when we were playing. I don't like that description. There's only two things about this game that are roguelike. Is that the maps are procedurally generated. Cool. There's that. You'll argue that I guess that the shortcuts kind of are, but not really. But also the story. The story kind of is just a means to an end. It's there to be like, here's a reason you went to the moon, to find your parents. Anywho, just go do this thing for a while. Hope you don't hate it.
Well, actually, Liz discovered that there's like 3 different endings.
I saw a video. I actually found it right before we started filming, so I didn't get to finish it. But there's actually a lot of secrets in this game. There's a lot of videos and playthroughs and stuff. So I didn't actually finish the video, but maybe.
Okay, good work there, Liz.
Thanks.
Bringing nice, investigation journalism right there.
There's some good info for us all.
But I do agree with you, Keith. The story, for the most part, does just seem like kind of a means to an end. But it's just, I don't know. For me, it was just that one moment of like, hey, we're having fun, dishing you on Earth and not returning home. So I thought that was just kind of weird. But obviously, you were playing this for the gameplay, and
Were you though?
that is actually a very good point. So the gameplay, as I said, it's a 2D platformer where, as Keith said, the dungeons are constantly procedurally generated. So every time you're doing a new run, you're not getting the same map every time, but you're essentially just going down, trying to get from point A to point B, avoid bad guys or kill bad guys, collect treasure, and try to get some equipment that could be helpful. But basically, you're just trying to keep getting down farther into the dungeon. And as far as the gameplay goes, as far as like the actual main story is, it's fun, but also very frustrating. Because as Keith said, I like Keith as kind of like those snobby wine aficionados where they're like, actually, this is not a roguelike because of these reasons. But I actually do agree with Keith on this, because I do feel like specifically me and Liz, we put in a ton of hours in this game. I think we put like 20. We put quite a bit. And we just weren't progressing. And that's what's kind of frustrating. I was having fun with it. Like, I didn't hate my 20 hours playing it. But like, yeah, we got one checkpoint where we could actually advance to the second world. And it's just, this game is crazy difficult.
And even that, like, I didn't realize I needed certain things to get that checkpoint. Like, if you make it to a certain point, you have to, have bombs or something?
It depends. Yeah, anytime you finish a world, there's a person who's creating a tunnel that says, hey, sometimes she needs money, sometimes she needs bombs, sometimes she needs a weapon.
And
like,
that's unfair.
Yeah.
Because repeating that much, it's ridiculous. And I also think, too, like, I think of Dead Cells where you start with different things, and I felt like there's way more things to play with. With this, the shops were always the same. Your whip at the beginning was always the same. Like, they needed something to break it up. And even my biggest disappointment with the game is that you can pick these different characters and none of them have special abilities. And so this game is really, really hard. But have like a character that is easier, maybe has more health or more bombs, and then maybe have a special character that's super hard and have an achievement for it. But for me, I just felt like they didn't expand enough. There wasn't enough like fun things to play around with, especially when you're repeating the same levels with the same music over and over and over again.
Yeah, see, I think this game could have, and maybe it's just cop-out, and also because I just like the genre, but they could have easily taken this into a roguelike where they could have done that with the characters, like Liz said. Maybe you start with different items, too. More ropes versus more bombs. Don't take damage from bombs. All these little things. But then also, like, I get it, because even Spelunky 1 was really the same thing. It wasn't made to be... I don't want to say it wasn't made to be a fun game, but it's not really meant for fun. It's just meant for trying. And trying and trying and trying. And
this game is made for trying.
And deep sighs and contemplating why you even bothered playing anything anymore. Are you even good at video games? So they didn't want to take that away. So I think it could have been one of those things where they could like have two different modes. You could play a roguelike mode where like you have all those fun new elements, and then just classic Spelunky. Try not to destroy your Xbox.
Well, I also think, too, that there are too many bad coincidences. You already have this hard game.
Yeah.
And you already have, like, the characters are all the same. And then I remember, in particular, so with the traps, there are these arrows, and they take away 2 of your health, which is a pretty big deal. Especially
because you have 4 health.
Yeah, and when you're further on. And so I started a level. The only way that I could not get shot by this arrow was to drop a bomb. And when I did that, all of a sudden the arrow hits the shopkeeper and then he goes berserk and then kills me. That's ridiculous. I was so pissed. Like, what are the chances that would happen? There's no place I could have put the bomb that like I would be safe. And so for me, I had so many circumstances like this that I just felt like the game was after me. And I think maybe at that point I had a little bit of burnout and maybe I took it too personally.
Why is this game personally attacking me?
I do think if you're gonna have like a super hard game like this, like maybe don't do that to people.
I do fully agree with you, Liz. Like, that's my issue with this. Like, the game is procedurally generated, but sometimes the procedure generation felt like it was just
out to get you.
It was an unwinnable situation where it's just like, yeah, here's a moment where you can either kill yourself this way or we'll kill you this way. So you get to choose how you die. And I don't like that. Like, sometimes I literally enter through a door. As soon as I got out of that door, there's a snake, bites me, kills me. And it's just like, I had no time to react to that. Like, how could I avoided that? And that's
like
that's my frustration.
Spelunky 2 is about trying and trying and trying.
But not getting any better.
But also giving up. Because there are times I'd start a run and it wasn't going well for me towards the beginning. And it's just like, there's no point.
See, I never found that because I just never felt like I lived long enough to actually intentionally kill myself. That's the thing about this. It's just like, though it's not even those coincidences, I don't think, that make it the hardest for me, but it's just small little aspects of the gameplay. And I think it's intentional, but it's also what makes it so frustrating. Things like you get hit by, I don't think it's the snakes that do it, but it might be. But they knock you over, and then you do your little flashy invincible thing. But you get like a half a second to a second of that. But here's the funny thing. You lay on the ground for, I think, 5 minutes.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was annoying.
And so you get hit once, and then they just keep running into you, and then you die, even though you had full health. And like things like that, or you're like, I think I can make this jump. I can see the ground. This should be fine. No, we decided that jump's too far this time. You're dead. And just all these little things.
Have fun. Try again.
And what about those moles?
Now try again.
Those moles were awful.
Yeah, anything that moved too fast was really a nuisance to me.
Honestly, everything was a nuisance to me.
Yeah,
Bats, snakes.
Oh, you know me with flying things in games. Like, that was really hard for me. And one thing that I remember that really angered Andrew, well, I guess irritated, the shopkeeper would have the dog sometimes. So the dog, when you bring him to the exit, he gives you an extra life, if he's alive, because the dog can die,
Yep.
which is who thought of that? First of all,
You can whip the
dog will
dog.
kiss you, or you kiss the dog or something, and you get a life when you bring it to the end. But the dog can die. You can't pet the dog.
You can whip
Who
it. You can whip it a
decided
lot.
that? Yeah, and you told me about the first Spelunky.
Yeah.
How it was like, oh, you can't do that in 2022.
So, yeah. Keith, do you remember the first Monkey that much?
I mean, vaguely. I have recollections.
So I decided to download it because I was always like, to me, I was like, this game feels very similar. I was like, why did they make a Spelunky 2? Is this game much different from the first Spelunky? And honestly, overall, no. This game really isn't too much different from the first Spelunky. The maps are pretty similar. The enemies are very similar. The items are very similar. The procedural generation, I will say, is a lot better in Spelunky 2 because in Spelunky 1, sometimes I felt like I would get like an impassable map where I would have to use bombs to get to the exit. It was kind of annoying. But the biggest change, and I think this is probably why they changed Spelunky 2. So in Spelunky 2, as I said, you were rescuing a dog, and if you bring it to the exit, it licks you and gives you a health. And the first Spelunky, it's a very busty blonde woman who, playing now is pretty bad because, as I said, you can whip the dog. So, of course, in the first Spelunky, you can whip this woman. You could throw her into spikes. I could kind of see why they changed that in Spelunky 2.
I thought it was just kind of like Mario. You were just kind of saving her, and so she gave you a kiss. I didn't think you were necessarily forcing it.
I guess.
But, I mean, I'm not saying it didn't need to be changed. I'm not defending it.
I think the person who came up with the busty blonde also came up with the idea of killing dogs. That's all I'm saying. I think there might be a correlation there.
I think they were just trying to take a slightly different approach of like Mario. I don't know.
That is a good point, Keith. I think that's probably what they were more going for too. I just think
like every time you would save her, she'd come up and like kiss you on the cheek, and that was like.
But in 2022, obviously, it's probably not something that's
Well, yeah,
good.
could have stunned the dog, right? And once the dog is stunned, you can't pick him up or something.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they had to have the dog die.
But then what happens when the dog is stunned and left with all the cave monsters? He dead. He dead anyways.
No, because they weren't attacking him throughout the game. Like, if you leave him with a monster, the monster doesn't attack him. He's fine.
I think it's funny, though, that Liz, you're more upset about the dog and not me talking about the busty blonde woman. Because you do the exact same thing with the woman. You know, you could stun her and throw her into spikes and throw her in front of the trap for you.
Do you know what? I didn't play that game, but I'm trying not to get too irritated. You know what I mean? Like...
So, overall, it is a good design choice that they switched it to a dog.
Yeah,
but
it works.
It's also weird, too, because that woman is not your dad's wife. You know, because they show the picture of, your dad and your mother. And it's not that busty blonde woman, so I don't know who she is or where she's gone.
You after, I'd hope not.
Maybe you might not have been married in Spelunky 1.
Oh, you definitely weren't. But I just think
it's
because I played a bit of it and it didn't mention anything of it.
Does he say he's a single man looking for a hot busty blonde?
He's single and ready to mingle. That's actually how first Spelunky happened. It was on Tinder, and she swiped right on him, and he was like, "Well, I got to go to this dungeon." And then he realized,
way too much work.
Well, it's weird too that they got rid of the woman altogether, because in the later levels, you actually get a helper who honestly played much better than I did, and they could have brought her back.
All right, so I just want to make a note here that Liz is the one that wishes a busty blonde woman was in this game, and not me.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I said
you just
woman.
said it.
I didn't say busty.
As I recall, yes.
But you know what? What's worse, like doing that, like just being like, do you know what? Let's get the woman out of the game.
Let's just delete her. I mean, you play a woman or a girl.
I don't know how much of this we can actually put out there.
I know. I feel like we're getting dangerous territory.
One thing that I learned playing this game, always throw first. So with the jars, sometimes they have spiders, sometimes they have gems or gold. And so Andrew taught me that you always pick it up. And it's always nice to carry something on your adventures because there's so many different traps that you can utilize. So you can pick up like rocks and things like that.
Or a dog and throw it.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that is one of the most helpful tips you could probably give, because there's hidden treasure. There's a ton of treasure and loot you can get. But I will say, I know you're complaining a little bit with the shopkeepers. I felt like the shopkeepers didn't have too good of items. Like, there was never an item that I was like, oh, if I get this is an instant win. There's some very useful ones, like the hover pack, the double jump, or like the boots. But none of them were like, I think I'm going to win this run because I have this item.
Well, no, because what's it called? The quick runs? I looked up a playthrough of the game, and there was this. Is that what it's called?
Speedruns?
Speed runs. Thank you, Keith. Andrew's looking at me like I have 10 heads. Yes. So
fast people.
the speed run, the person just had one of the mechanisms that like teleport you.
Yeah.
And he pretty much used that to beat the game.
Yeah, but if you are not good with that, you will die.
But yeah,
I died
obviously
lot
he
with
had
that
a lot
when
of
we played
practice.
multiplayer.
Yes, you did. You kept teleporting yourself into the wall and
But
killing
I
yourself.
think mastering that is the key to winning the game because you beat the game.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things if you master. It's how you beat this game. Because this game is all about just trying to master things. And it's so weird, too, because not getting ahead, but like when you look at the cover art of Spelunky 2, you'd swear this game is for like children. It's super cutesy
Yeah.
looking. The snake is adorable. Your character is this like little girl with a cute button nose. And this game is just brutal. Like it just like kicks you in the face and then just like stomps you in the dirt. And it just, you got to keep going back for more.
Do you know-
Yeah.
I
It's
gotta
not
bring.
friendly.
I gotta bring up the shopkeeper again.
Let's
Because
hang
there was
with
no,
them.
there was another time where I was buying something, I bought it, and then all of a sudden his stuff started to move, and he accused me of stealing, and he shot me dead. I did nothing. I didn't accidentally.
The
hit
items just like
anything.
wiggled a little.
Yeah,
randomly.
no, there was the shopkeeper just all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're stealing my stuff, and I was like, no, I'm not. I'm doing really well, and the game is punishing me. That's what's happening right now.
That's
I
when you
just
run
felt
away real fast.
there were so many things with the shopkeeper that I just hated him. I didn't want to buy his wares. No, thank you.
I remembered you from last game. I hate you.
I do.
Not giving you any of my money.
And same with like the turkey guy, because you're supposed to rescue his turkeys and put them in the cage, but they don't explain things to you. Like I accidentally hit one too many times and it died, and all of a sudden this guy's chasing me. I'm like, what did I do?
He killed his turkey.
But I guess like the turkey is actually a really good thing to use.
Yeah, you can ride it.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's
there's
like
other
Yoshi.
things you can do, like if you like a double jump or something.
Yep.
I was watching this video, and you can also use it for food if you burn them
Yep.
or explode them. There are so many things in this game that they don't tell you.
But one thing I really wanted to talk more about, we mentioned a little bit, because in Spelunky 1, they eventually had DLC where they had multiplayer, but in Spelunky 2, multiplayer is easily accessible in this game. What did you guys think of the multiplayer?
I liked it. We got much further together, Andrew and I, and then when Keith played too, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't like that you start with less bombs, because there's a lot of times that we're separated, and I just felt like it was actually not a hindrance, but it wasn't as fun playing with 3 people sometimes, where it's just like, well, I don't have the tools that I need.
Well, you had less bombs too because you refused to buy them from the shopkeeper.
No,
Maybe you're the
I remember
shopaholic.
I remember just about every time Liz would be like, "Hey, are there bombs in the shop? Are there bombs in the
Yes,
shop?"
Keith.
So I'm gonna contest that part. But yeah, I do agree. I think the co-op is actually the best part of this game. It's probably actually the only way I would play more Spelunky 2. It takes out a lot of the punishing aspects of the game. It's definitely still punishing. There's definitely still a lot of trying. But I think it's kind of weird because I think the way that it limits your gear, it encourages you to want to play together and as a group and as a team. But it's also just so much nicer than you can like spread out, just clear the map, get a bunch of golds or monies, and like work together. Like having a system where someone could break the special little ghost jar, get the extra diamond, and then someone else exits real quick. Like having those little strategies of spreading out was nice, but you also want to play close by. I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah,
but it's more fun.
It's great that you don't all have to exit. And I like, too, that when you're the ghost, so you have to be a ghost for the rest of the level, and then the next time they can break a coffin and release you. But when you're the ghost, you can help out by freezing enemies to make it easier for them. So you don't just, wait useless, So
Yeah.
I really did like that. I don't know why the bombs bothered me so much. But I think it's just because I use a lot of them. There are a lot of times where it's just like, there's a really annoying enemy, and it's just like, I'm just going to put a bomb here and just escape down. So.
Yeah, we'll say you do use bombs a lot. I honestly barely use bombs. But a lot of times you're just like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to keep blowing up down south and keep just digging away down. Like you would always think of that strategy. I never would. I'm always just like, I would just be like, yeah, cool. I'm just going to keep going forward.
But I also felt like the way that we played the game actually worked really well, because I felt like I assumed that I would just die all the time and you would just be constantly reviving me, but there were times where you were dying a lot,
Yeah.
and then times where I was dying a lot. So I felt like it actually like worked well together.
Yeah, the co-op is a ton of fun because I also too like that you guys aren't limited to the same screen. So since we were all playing on different consoles and stuff on Xbox Live, it just followed us. So even though we shared money, like it was nice playing because, as Keith said, you know, we would all go around, kind of collect money. As soon as one person got to the exit, it's like, hey, is everyone good? And then, yeah, just one person exit, and it takes everyone with them, and it made it easier.
The only exception is when you're the ghost and you're playing with more than one person, they give you a particular screen to watch. So when you're the ghost, you can actually release yourself. Otherwise, you have to have somebody else do it for you. But
I was going to say, so I may just be speaking for myself, but I think for Andrew too, and I think the reason that we were probably dying more is it goes back to, on its surface level, Spelunky 2's gameplay is so simple. So
it is.
I think having our mindset of like, this should be easy. It's so simple.
I thought you were going to say
Good,
that I'm
good,
simple-minded.
nice. Thank you. No. Thank you for that addition, Andrew. I appreciate that. So what my point is that we have a tendency to just run fast and faster than you should at sometimes, and we don't know what we're doing really, so we just die a lot. Whereas Liz, you're like calculated and
simple-minded.
No, you're not simple-minded. You actually are like recognize how hard the game is, and you're not just like, oh, this is simple gameplay, I'm gonna just run with it. You're like, no, I'm gonna take this game for being as hard as it is, and you thought about what you were doing. So I'm commending you.
If I was like really low health too, I would tell Andrew, be like, I have 1 health left. And then so sometimes he would just like race to the end, and I would just stand there because, you know, or sometimes I would just kill myself because once you kill yourself and you respawn, you have full health. So it was kind of like gauging.
You lose your gear, but you get full health.
Yeah. So it's
if you don't have anything though, who cares?
Yeah.
But I also really liked the arena. That's what it's called, right?
Yep.
I really liked the arena.
Just the versus game mode.
The thing that bothered me, I'm not skipping ahead. I'm just going to bring this up real quick with the achievements. I should have gotten the achievement for being the arena, and I was so mad because like the first time I did 3 lives instead of, I think it's 5 or something.
Yeah, there's a very specific achievement to go against bots.
But yeah, so I ended up doing it, and it didn't give it to me, and it was actually after like many attempts, and I was really mad. So I did enjoy the arena. Playing multiplayer in the arena with friends is so much more fun, though.
It is. It's actually a lot of fun.
So hard.
Yeah.
Whenever I beat Andrew, it was just like the best moment. Because how often do I do that?
It honestly reminds me a mixture of like old school Super Smash Brothers and Bomberman.
I think too, like one of us would get something that was super powerful.
There's a couple items that were stupid overpowered.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pick what items you like spawn in the crates, but yeah, like it was like an item that just was like an instant win. Like it's seen Keith getting so furious over this item too. I still just remember back in the day, the Nintendo 64, we played Turok. There was the cerebral bore, and it was just like a point and click and you win kind of weapon. You didn't even have to like have any skill. You just click, I win.
And that's what that item was. Just get someone in a corner and just keep whipping them.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
See, and that was the thing that just drove me nuts with it. Is it was like it was fun to a point, and then you would get stuck in a corner by somebody, and it would just go on, and you die, and then it's just I think that's where it stopped being fun for me. So I go back and I'd say I'd play more of it, and I would, but I'd absolutely rather play the campaign co-op versus the arena co-op.
I just think too, like playing it alone, I don't think I'd ever beat this game. And playing it co-op, I mean, Andrew and I put so many hours into it, and we didn't beat it either. So it's like,
and we still didn't beat it. So I don't know what that says.
Yeah, at what point you're just like, maybe it's not for me.
Yeah, I think I got to the first boss a handful of times by myself, but I definitely got a lot further when I was playing with you guys.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get like farther in the game for how much time I put in, because it's like I said, I think I put like 20 hours, and the farthest we got was World 3, which was in co-op. Single player wise, I got like right near the end of World 2. I think there's like a total of like 4 worlds. So there's like 4 worlds, and there's usually about 4 stages, 3 to 4 stages each one of those worlds. But I will say I like
You
that
got past 2?
Yeah, we did in multiplayer.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about single player.
Yeah. I will say one thing I like about 2, like when you're playing Spelunky 2, you actually have paths you can kind of take. So the first world, you're in the same one every time, which is like, a generic mine. But then you can kind of pick if you want to go to like the jungle world or the lava world. And so I kind of like this branching path you can kind of do.
Isn't that the only time it does that though?
I mean, it's hard to say because, like I said, I only got to
No,
like.
we got to the next one and we only had the one option. That's why I'm thinking.
No, I'm pretty sure you can go farther because once you beat World 2, you fight a boss who's slamming the ground, and I think you could have him keep going. But we were always just like, screw it, we'll just take this first exit. And we always took the first exit. So I'm pretty sure there's another one you can do, but you would have to keep fighting the boss, and we didn't want to do that. So it's kind of hard to confirm that, but
I think the fact that Andrew didn't beat it just shows that it's hard.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, that's why I kind of give it a pass. Like, I was having fun with it. This game to me is like a incredibly fun, just arcade game to play with your friends and your buddies to kind of see who can get farther, who can get the better score, and like try to compete and beat each other's scores.
I think the most frustrating thing is that the game is so simple, and that's what's so infuriating. Like, because you know exactly what to do. You have your whip. It's not like you're like, oh, I need this weapon for this enemy. You know what I mean? It's just very much a simple game.
Yeah.
That is just so hard.
And that's what I think is so weird. It's because it's also too like if you've ever played old school games, when you play like old school games like Mario and stuff like that, as a kid I'm like I remember beating these games, but then as an adult I'm like, how did I beat these as a child? Like these games are difficult. So I'm actually curious if you're younger you're just better at these kind of 2D platformers.
But I also think too, no matter what, you're spending a lot of time in this game, and I think the biggest thing that would make this game better for me is if the game just mixed it up. Like we mentioned a couple of things earlier that would be great for I think would be great for the game. Like having the characters have different things, or maybe not start with a whip every single time. But I think that is really what caused the most burnout. And so for me, it's just like, because this is the second game, it's like if they did a third, I probably wouldn't play it if it was like this.
Yeah, I agree. I do wish this game had a little more accessibility to it. I mean, I can't blame a game for being hard because like that's the type of game. Like,
but
not every game's for everyone.
Differently, so make it like more accessible. Where it's like, this is just hard. Like, you know what I mean? But for me, it's like have different characters, and you can still have like the super 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 hard guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's some easy ways they could have made this game a little more accessible, but
how though? I question that because I don't think there's anything that could have been done to be like, unless you. Like you're always immune to traps or like some sort of aspect like that you could turn on or off. Like I don't think this game could have been more accessible than it was. I think
more health or more bombs, like just something that would make it make you get further. So for me, it's like if you have, because you start with 4 health, correct?
4 health, 4 bombs, 4 ropes.
Yeah. So if you had a character that started with like 7 of each, and you also had the dog that would give you more as well for each level, I feel like people could also get like a lot further that way. So you could have like an easier character. But I think what Andrew said earlier is correct, where it's like, who would I recommend this for?
Yeah, but that's, I mean, yeah, I definitely think those aspects of it would have made it more accessible, but I also just think it would have made it more, I don't want to say more fun, because again, for some people this game is a lot of fun, but I think it would have, I guess accessible is the word. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, but it just more like more people might be interested in trying it just because there's more variety. Not everyone likes playing a game that's just the same thing over and over and over and over again. And some of us like roguelikes a lot. So I don't know.
I think it also blew my mind what I was saying earlier with the speed run, where it's like if you just learn to use this one tool, you can just breeze through it. And so for me, it's also I like kind of frustrating. Where it's like there is a way to kind of like not cheat, but just to like get through the game super fast.
This game is awesome to watch speedruns on YouTube. I highly recommend Spelunky 1 and Spelunky 2.
Did you see one that didn't use
honestly no, now that I think about it. No, yeah, a lot of them use that.
Yeah, to get to the end. So it's just like I mean, it's really hard, but it's just like, oh, here's something that makes it super easy, but we're not going to help anybody that's a noob. We're not going to help anybody that, wants to just play it the way that it is. For me, like, I don't think that that's fun. Like, for me, like, the idea of learning how to teleport through the game and just avoiding all the enemies, like, that just sounds boring. So it's like, yeah, I could do that, but I mean, the whole point is to actually, like, fight the enemy and figure out where things are. And so for me,
the whole point of the game is to get to the end of the dungeon.
I wouldn't want to play it that way. I also think too that like more story would have helped me get through it. I don't know.
But I mean, yeah, you make a good point. Like this, that's what's kind of stinks. Is like, yeah, there is a very particular way you're kind of supposed to beat this game. So this game isn't kind of someone where it's like, hey, we'll accommodate with your playstyle. And that's, I think, what you're saying with the different characters of like having more bombs or more ropes depending on the character you're picking. This game yet doesn't accommodate type of playstyle. It's very much just you either gonna win or you're gonna lose. You either get better at this game or you're not.
I'm kind of with you, Andrew. Though I don't know that more bombs would have ever done anything for me.
Probably not, because I never used them that much. I used ropes.
I didn't use ropes all that much. I probably should have, but I
could have someone with armor.
Yeah,
someone with armor, so that instead of getting like -2 for an arrow, you get -1, and or like have someone with like
start with an item of like a jetpack or something like that, or double jump.
Yeah, there's so many different things you can do, and so for me, like playing so many other games, I mentioned Dead Cells earlier. It just, I was just kind of disappointed that it's just like, oh, this is what you get.
I just think at the end of the day, outside of again, I guess like what we've talked about with the speedrunners or whatever, outside of the teleportation pack, there's no item or anything that's going to be like, oh, I'm good. I can just play this game easily now. No, yes, some of the armor, health aspects, nice. But I still just don't think anything would have made this game like, oh, it's easy. I just might have made the second world a couple more times if I had 7 health instead of 4 health.
The shotgun helps, I will say that, because it has unlimited ammo and you just blast everything. But it still doesn't make you win.
I also saw somebody like go after the shopkeeper a lot. Like he would always just steal all the stuff from the shopkeeper.
Oh, that's a strategy?
Yeah, but I would always like panic. So like there was actually a time that I knocked him out and I grabbed the shotgun. And then I ended up accidentally killing myself because I was like, what do I do now? What do I do? And it also, like, if there's another guy that you can make angry too, besides the turkey guy and him, that he's guarding something. But yeah, he would just knock him out, steal his gun, or kill him and steal his gun, and he would do that a bunch.
This game, like you just said, you like would freak out and just like kill yourself. You did that so many times in this game.
Oh my gosh, yes. There's one point where I was jumping between these 2 platforms. There's spikes underneath, and every time I land, I'm on the edge. So it's like this initial reaction that I jump, and so I keep doing it over and over again. And I'm like, I actually say out loud, stop jumping, and I couldn't stop, and I ended up killing myself after like 15 times. It was the craziest thing. Andrew was watching me.
Well, we were playing co-op and I was dead, so I just needed you to get a little farther to revive me. And like, you just don't do well under pressure, and that's what was happening. You knew, you're like, if I just stop jumping, I'll live, and you kept screaming at yourself to stop jumping, but you never did.
But you know what? I'm really grateful that it's not in real life. With like, I knew someone that said that whenever she was driving and like something would happen, and she would have to hit the gas really fast. She would accidentally hit the gas, and I felt like that was me in that moment, where I was just like, I needed to hit that brake and I just kept hitting that gas.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was an interesting sight to behold.
That will stay with me.
I wish I recorded it though. That was really funny.
That was really embarrassing. But I just like, for me, it's just like, I feel like this game is all about these shortcuts, and I don't know. I don't want to say it sounds cheap, but like it is kind of just like,
you put the game needs to respect your time.
No, because I was just like, I was playing the game that I thought that I was supposed to play it,
or the way you were supposed to play it.
Yeah, like I thought that I was, but I was just like, oh, just get the teleporter and just teleport around and you'll get the ending, which is, not going to wow you.
Like the more and more I hear Liz talk about this game, I don't know how it's still a game.
I know, that's what
I know, you guys are bringing me down.
I do feel like we're complaining about this game a lot. But I had a lot of fun with it. Like, and it is hard to explain why I had fun with it, because I did have just like to keep going back and to see how far I can get. But it's like a weird addicting feeling.
It was, but it was like just one infuriating thing that I'd just be like, I'm done for the next half hour. Nope. And that would happen actually quite a bit. Sometimes it'd be like my second run. Like I said earlier with that shopkeeper story, I did that and I was just like, I need to step away.
I can't believe how much you played this game. Like you did enjoy it. Like I see why you gave it a game, because it's like,
because you're so bad at it.
You would play like, it was like, I knew this game was crazy hard, and I was like, there's no way Liz is gonna like this. I mean, our very first game we did was Ashen, and that's a very hard game. I'm surprised you stuck with this podcast after that game. And it is like ingrained in your brain how much you hated that game because of how hard it was. And then you have Spelunky too, but you kept going back to it. You would play like you said, like 2 or 3 runs, and then you're like, I need to take like a 15-minute break, get some food or something. Then you do like another 2 or 3 runs, but you would do that like all day, and you just kept doing more and more runs.
Yeah, games that are unforgiving, I really struggle with. That's why with Ashen, like it's not a very forgiving game, and it just felt really clunky to me. I feel like at least this game felt smooth to me.
Okay.
So I think that's something that actually helped me get through it. Like with Ashen, it was just like a bunch of different things that I didn't like. But you know what? I wonder, because it's been 3 years. I wonder if I went back and played Ashen. I'm not saying I want to revisit. That's not what I'm saying.
It's not on Game Pass anymore. Don't worry.
But I wonder how I would feel about it. And there's a lot of games that I think about that. I'm like, now that I've played all these games, I wonder if I would still feel that way.
Are you saying you want to go back on some of them?
What?
You want to go back and visit some of them?
Do you know what? I think it would be really interesting if some of our listeners who have been with us for a while said, you know what? I think Keith needs to revisit this game. Graveyard Keeper.
Outer Wilds.
Not on Game Pass anymore.
Graveyard Keeper is not on Game Pass anymore.
Yeah, just like it would be fun to like hear what people think that we should revisit.
Look at what our like lowest rated games of a given year, and if they're still on Game Pass.
That's good.
There's some that I'm just like, I don't want to bring up because I don't want to play it.
Descenders?
What's Descenders?
That was the bicycle game that Keith picked.
It was so forgettable that I just, I was like, what is that?
I bet the achievements are fixed now, though.
It'd be like playing a new game.
But anyway, as I said before earlier, it's kind of hard for me to figure out like who this game was for, because the art style. This game, when you look at it, it's so bright and colorful and cute. The enemies are adorable, but then it's also very graphic. Specifically, when you die on spikes, the spikes impale you. There's blood, and your corpse is just like slowly falling on these spikes. It's very gruesome.
And there's cute bats, but these like giant spiders that just kind of like, you're like, ooh, I don't want to go near that.
So I think the art style is kind of weird. I will say it's nice where it's easy recognizable for majority of the things. Some traps are very hidden, and I think that's obviously the design choice. Yeah,
I think it's good that the creatures are actually kind of cute looking because you see them a lot. You know, if you had this like ugly monster all the time, but just like, oh, you know what, this bat is really annoying, but at least it's cute.
I mean, I guess there's that. I don't think I paid attention to my body on the spikes long enough to notice what happened with it. I was like, next run, let's go.
You were too blinded with rage to see.
Basically, I would rage start new runs on a regular basis. But yeah, I thought overall it was nice, but I don't know, nothing impressive. The biomes were different, but nothing special. It felt like most of the enemies were still kind of the same. You had a few new aspects of them, or a few new enemies that would come along, but largely a little melee, or I don't know, something that flew at you. Nothing crazy.
Some of the enemies were like, that's what I like that this game had a bestiary. I always complain about that in some roguelikes when they don't have a bestiary.
It's a good thing this is a roguelike.
It's slightly.
It's not.
It's a dabble. Okay, I'm not going to die on this hill, Keith. I do agree with you. It's a very, I don't know. I would not categorize this as a roguelike. It does have some roguelike-ish elements to it, but it's very, very light that I wouldn't categorize it.
I mean, by that, it's closer to a Souls-like game than a roguelike game.
I guess it's true.
I think that later on, some of the creatures that you meet, they just have some tricks up their sleeve, and you're doing so well, but you've never encountered that enemy before. And like, what is it like? They're like geishas or
these weird spirit geisha things.
Yeah, it's been a while since I actually played that level.
For me, it's like specifically what I'm thinking of, like the man-eater plants. So majority of the time, you can use your whip to hurt enemies, or you can jump on their heads and hurt them. But then you have these man-eater plants, and you're like, cool, I'm going to jump on its head. And it instantly just one, no matter how much health you have, it just eats you, and you're dead. And that's the end of your run. And it's like, that's frustrating.
Well, it is so infuriating when you get to a certain point. And the monkeys were like annoying, but I could deal with that. But there were certain ones that just like you saw them, you're just like, you gotta be kidding me. And then if you're playing multiplayer and you have less bombs, you don't have a bomb, you have to go that direction. That's why I like bombs so much. Where like there's one particular enemy that you don't like,
It's so weird talking about this game because like we're talking about this and I'm like, God, I hated this. This pissed me off. This pissed me off. But I'm also like, man, I really want to keep playing this game. And that's like, it's so hard to explain about Spelunky 2. It's hard to recommend to people. It's very frustrating. But I also had a ton of fun with it. I wanted to keep playing it.
You hate repetitive noises.
Yeah.
And you're in these same areas over and over again.
Yeah, same music.
Yep.
Same noises.
Yep.
I will say that kind of got a little grating. Same music over and over again. I was not a fan of it.
Can you imagine if they had like a really loud whip every time you...
Whatcha? Like super loud.
I was actually going to ask you, can you make a whip sound? Keith, can you make a better one? Those were both awful.
Okay, what's yours?
Which I don't know. I
You really thought that was better than ours?
No, I don't. But I was just expecting more from
our
you
new
guys.
segment.
I feel like you guys maybe watched like Indiana Jones a lot growing up or something, and you guys would have more.
I mean, that's what everyone always does with this saying, you're whipped.
Yes, and this has been our new segment. The podcast crew makes a noise.
But Keith, did you listen to this on Spotify?
No.
This is
I didn't.
not a soundtrack I think to write home about.
I didn't
not
really
bad,
do
but
a
it's
lot of additional work at all for this game.
But yeah, so the soundtracks, it's nothing that great. We probably just hated it a bit more because, like I said, we put so much time in it, such a short time.
It just really fell to the background.
Yeah.
I liked it at first, and then I stopped listening.
But at least there was no annoying noises as far as I heard.
No, nothing overall.
Yeah, you just got music that kind of blended in the background. But Liz, I know one thing you hated was the achievements.
I did. So Keith, 3 out of 32 with a score of 25.
Booyah.
I was in second place, even though I really deserved to tie because that what's it
Arena achievement that you couldn't get.
Yes, that I know I did get it. I just didn't receive it. I did all the work, and So anyways, I got technically 6, but really got 7. And do you know what I want to say? If there's new listeners, I don't usually do that. I don't usually just give myself achievements, but like I actually did this and I didn't get it. So, but Andrew is technically the winner with 7, a score of 70. Like that.
I like
that
how you
sucks.
like really did not want to say that. You're like, technically,
Because do you know what? The fact that I tied with you, I'm usually in last place.
Love you too,
Every
babe.
once in a while, I'll get second.
Did you tie though? If you
Have
only
I
got
gotten
6?
first? Maybe we started. What?
I said, did you tie though? If you only got 6 and he got 7?
But I really got 7.
If I look and I compare, it's gonna say that. Liz,
But if I did something,
Come on, Dean only
so
got
for instance,
6.
if you did something, Keith,
Yeah.
and you're supposed to get a medal for it, you did it, but someone forgot to ship you a medal. Did you not do it?
I mean, I can't prove to anyone that I did it.
But you need to prove yourself.
I mean, that's what you're trying to do right now.
Well, do you know what? If you feel like you need to prove yourself,
I mean,
that's your own character flaw. I don't
literally
feel
what
like
you're doing right now.
No, I'm just saying, like, I did it. I just didn't get the actual credit. So
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna stop this before you guys get back at each other.
I'm just saying.
So, as far as achievements go, absolutely do not recommend this for achievement hunters. As far as time to beat goes, you're looking main story about 27 hours. If you're looking to like 100% this game, you're looking at like 77 hours. Because yeah, a lot of there's some achievements, of course, because this game, is for masochists, is to basically start from the beginning to the end and like not pick up any money or have a certain amount of money or just these wild achievements. They are incredibly hard to do. Do not recommend this game for achievement hunters. Even the few that we were able to obtain, it's just not worth a lot of gamer score.
one more thing. So if you're just like hanging off of someone's coattails and you don't actually do the work to get an achievement, and then all of a sudden your bo's like, oh, I got 1,000 on this game, even though you didn't, So it's like
Oh, like when Andrew
I'm at
got
least
that
saying I
free
did the
achievement
work.
for me on Nobody Saves the World.
Oh my gosh.
what achievement?
Wait, the one time when Andrew got that achievement because I went and rebeat the New Game Plus on Nobody Saves the World for him with him in my
Yeah.
game. Yeah,
I
remember
give you
when he did
credit. I give you credit.
I'm just saying there have been times where I have also not deserved achievements and I've gotten them. But I worked so hard for it that to say like, oh, I got 6, but it's like, no, I got 7.
It's okay.
I'm a petty person.
Okay. Let's get our final thoughts here. So as I said, for me, overall, I give this game a pass because it's hard for me to recommend. If you are with a couple buddies, like this is a fun game to kind of just like maybe spend a weekend or a week or so on and try to beat each other's score. Maybe if you get together and just play couch co-op and just kind of have some fun. It is a fun time to play with your friends, but it is just infuriating. So don't expect to be like, this is going to be a fun, relaxing game. If you had a rough day at work, do not play this game because this will just make you more angry. But I had a ton of fun with it. It was just one of those things where, like, when I was progressing, I was getting farther. It just felt so great, but it was also nerve-wracking because I'm like, what the heck is this monster? What is it going to do? And I try to jump on it and it instantly kills me. And then it's like, well, back to square one. So there's things about it that just frustrated me. And I wish there was more rewards. I felt like I was progressing more and the game made it slightly easier for me to get back to where I was, but it doesn't. So for me, I think I'm just going to give it a 72. I had fun with it, but I probably wouldn't mind picking it up, like doing a couple runs later down the road, but it just got me so mad. I do not get a lot of gamer rage, but this game was giving it to me.
It's so funny because, as usual, this is one of those. I'm like, Andrew kind of said everything I needed to say, with the exception here that I don't want to go back to it. I don't really want to play any more of it. I don't know. There's some games that can be simple but difficult in aspects that make you want to play it, or nothing about Spelunky 2 did that for me, and it stinks because there's nothing wrong with the game. It's a perfectly fine game, but I did not enjoy my time with it. I didn't find myself wanting to play more of it. The only thing I can really say that I would be interested in playing more is potentially co-op, because co-op was more fun. I would say it actually made the game pretty enjoyable because it took away a lot of the punishing aspects that it has involved in it. But I think that's why, for me, I'm just going to go with a nice little 64.
For me, I'm going to give it a 78. I think it actually feels nice to know that you guys also struggled with it, because I was just like, maybe that's just not the way that my brain works. Maybe it's me, And then listening to you guys, I'm like, you know what? It's just hard, And then obviously there's minus some points because, you
it didn't respect your time.
No, I just don't like. Why do you keep bringing that up? I never said that about this game.
I just love it's like your catchphrase.
No, that's when that's when like the game actually like screws you over. This game, it didn't screw me over. Like I suck sometimes, but there are minus some points because dogs die, and I don't think that's okay in a game. And I also think it's interesting that like I'm much higher than you guys, but I felt like you guys were talking me down, and I just was like, I don't know what score to give. But looking at Metacritic, there's only Series X, and it's TBD for critics and users. And so far, there's a 90 and a 9. So I think people really like this game, but it's also people who love the first one, are probably gonna love the
this
second.
game is a cult following. Yeah, people
like
who love
9 out of
Spelunky.
10?
Yeah, a 9 out of 10 and
All
a
right.
90 out of 100.
All right, just making sure it wasn't like a 90 out of 100 and a 9 out of 100, because those are vastly different. And also
Keith,
represented. No, I'm not even trying to be. Well, I am kind of being
How
smart.
long
but
have we been doing the Metacritic
I
score?
know that.
3
I was going to
years?
say that too.
No, sorry, 2.5, because I think 2.5.
Yeah,
It might have been
about
the whole
2.5.
time. But it's never changed. It's never been 9 out of 100.
I don't know. Maybe I just thought maybe it was fitting this time. Maybe that's why I thought of it.
Welcome to Liz's segment, Keith.
Keith really wanted to give it a 9 out of 100. And he was like, this person speaks my language.
You're speaking to me. I understand you.
But I think that's going to do it for us this week. I think we're going to wrap up here. If you have any game recommendations, please, we would love to hear them. You can email us at gamepassgrabbag@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook at GBGB. We're also at Twitter at GBGBpod. I've been your Hardcore Gamer, Andrew. You can find me next Xbox Live at Firebird01952.
I've been Keith, and Andrew added the second fart to this podcast.
My mic probably did not pick it up, so
I
probably
bet it did, because I heard it pretty good. It was like you waited for a pause for me, and then you were like, here we go.
I thought it was just going to be like a silent but deadly, but it actually made noise.
It was just loud and deadly.
Yeah. And I'm listening.
I agree with that.
Do you know what? The thing is, like, Andrew's just musical, you know? I'm never like, I need to leave the room. It's just like a jolly toot. And honestly, I think that most people would prefer that. You know what I mean?
I've
Like,
never heard anyone
rather
describe a fart as
stick out a
jolly.
room.
Why do our endings get so weird?
I think that when it comes to farts, people either really think that they're funny
Should that
or they
be-
really hate them.
Should that be my outro instead of the Hardcore Gamer? I'm your jolly tutor.
Oh, Lord.
I think we need to make it that change. And I'm Listen Noob Gamertag. Coming up, Dean. I'm on Twitter at Listen Noob. Noob is EW.
Wait, Keith, did you do an outro?
Yeah.
You did.
I called you up for your fart,
That's true.
for your jolly
All right.
toot.
All right. Oh, for the love of God. All right, we're going to end this now. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love you all. See you again next week.
Hi, guys.